Today's diet. The two main forces driving metabolic syndrome are the increase in consumption of processed, high-calorie, low-fiber food, along with the decrease in physical activities. Studies have also shown that consuming more than one soft drink per day increases the risk of metabolic syndrome by 39%. Now, we have seen an encouraging drop in soft drink sales over the last few years, but the U.S. still drinks way too much. The U.S. drinks 38 gallons per person per year of soda each year for every man, woman, and child. That's just way too much. 75% of the food purchased in the United States are from processed foods. We need to change our eating patterns to reverse the health issues we all face as we age. So why do we eat so much processed food? One of the answers is sugar, fat, and salt. And it's convenient. Processed foods are not accidentally filled with sugar, fat, and salt. The food industry refers to the point at which sugar, fat, and salt are blended to delicious perfection as the bliss point. Now, this is not the point where the food is most nutritious. This is the point where the food is most addictive. It tastes the best. Like the Lay's potato chip slogan, bet you can't eat just one. The food industry works hard to make food that you cannot eat just one. So we eat the whole bag of chips, or the huge portion of fries, instead of the few we intended. There's a huge amount of money spent on ads to get us to eat junk food, and then a huge amount of money spent to make us eat the whole bag. No wonder we have an epidemic of metabolic syndrome. So how do we combat our food environment that we're in today? Number one is returning to a healthy lifestyle, promoting whole foods over processed foods. Now, I'm old enough to remember the 70s, and that is when I was in school. The food environment was very different. We ate meals at home, and so did everyone else. Mostly home-cooked meals with whole food. We did not have soda in my house. When we went out to dinner, it was a big occasion, and we didn't do it all very often. And we could have soda. Getting back to eating whole foods, which are not processed, is key. I can make a delicious dinner in 20 minutes that is very healthy with no processed foods. Education is also key. There's a lot of misinformation out there. But also, you got to remember there are great resources for eating healthy too. So use those resources. Awareness of how ads affect subconscious choices. It is important to know what you and your family are up against with all the funding to get you to eat poorly. So some eating patterns for preventing metabolic syndrome. Now, there's a number of well-established diets out there that have been researched and can prevent metabolic syndrome. I'm not really a low-carb promoter or a vegetarian promoter or really any of these diet promoters. I'm really a whole foods promoter. Where we have gone wrong is that we have stopped eating real foods. We eat processed foods filled with ingredients that are developed in labs. All of these eating patterns we will discuss have some common elements. Reduce sugars. Do not fall for the, it's a natural sugar. Well, table sugar and corn syrup are natural sugars. We eat way too much of this. If you're a soda drinker, the number one thing you can do is get rid of that. Sweet tea, sugar, and coffee, fruit juices are all in this category. Don't drink sugar. Drink water or distilled or seltzer water or tea and coffee without sugar. Processed grains like white flour, including white bread or regular pasta, should be limited. They have been stripped of much of their nutrients and fiber and have been shown to increase abdominal fat. Eat whole foods. Shop the perimeter of the store where all the unprocessed foods stocked. You know, the fresh vegetables, the fresh fruits, the fresh meats, the fresh seafood, the dairy products. Also, salad dressings. Don't use store-bought salad dressings. These are loaded with unhealthy fats, sugar, and emulsifiers and chemicals. Homemade dressings are so easy and ensure the salad is healthy and they taste better. So to help you with this, I have two handouts. One called Whole Foods 101 The Basics, and the other one is a homemade salad dressing recipe. So let's look at some of these eating patterns that can help you understand what to do. These are well documented and have a lot of resources out there for you to look up. Number one, the Mediterranean diet. This is very popular, and you've probably heard of it. It has well-documented health benefits. It consists of a high intake of vegetables, including leafy green vegetables, fruits, whole grain cereals, legumes, and nuts. A lot of extra virgin olive oil as a main source of fat. You can also use avocado oil. More fish and poultry and less red meat. Low consumption of butter and sweet pastries. Restriction on sugar-sweetened beverages. I think you're going to hear that one a lot. Another one's the DASH diet. This is the dietary approach to stop hypertension. Again, a high intake of vegetables, fruits, whole grains, lower fat-free dairy products, a high intake of legumes and nuts, lower intake of red and processed meats, and restriction in sugar-sweetened beverages. Another one is the whole food plant-based diet. So with this one, all plant-sourced foods. So intake includes fruits, vegetables, nuts, legumes, and whole grains. It is important to consider that plant-based does not always mean healthy, so limit the refined grains, snacks, pastries, and, of course, the sugar-sweetened beverages. This is a great diet and has been shown to be very beneficial for your health. Now, you must ensure that you're getting all your nutrients when you do a vegetarian diet, so use the resources available to ensure that you're eating a balanced diet. You've probably also heard a lot about the low carbohydrate and ketogenic diets. These are also very helpful for limiting metabolic syndrome. So these have less than 50% of calories from carbohydrate, restriction in intakes of processed foods, including refined grains, starches, foods rich in simple or added sugars. Again, you got to remember that low carb is not always healthy. Typically, these diets have very little restriction on the amount and type of fats. Again, use the available resources available to you to ensure you're getting a balanced diet. Okay, the optimal diet to reverse metabolic syndrome. Insulin resistance. So, if you follow the advice we just spoke about, you'll never need this part of the talk. But if you're stubborn like me and wait until you're well into metabolic syndrome, you'll have a harder time. This is due to insulin resistance that develops over years of poor eating, or you've already crossed the line into type 2 diabetes. Your body uses insulin to consume carbohydrates, and after years of a high processed food and high sugar diet, your body stops responding to insulin well. And therefore you cannot handle the carbohydrates like you used to. So when you eat a normal amount of carbs, your blood sugar will elevate and will not drop in response to your insulin. So you get high blood sugar if you do not control your carb intake. And having high blood sugar is so damaging to all your organs, it is very important to keep your blood sugar in a healthy range, hopefully under 100 milligrams per deciliter. This is why diabetes affects so many systems, like eyes, kidneys, limbs, nerves, and so on. So, this diet is improve the quality of foods first. Always whole foods over processed foods. Limit carbohydrates to under 45% of calories. Eat healthy carbs such as fresh or frozen vegetables and whole grains. Avoid processed foods high in sugar and refined grains. Be careful with fruits. Many are very high in sugar. Choose low glycemic index fruits. Fats under 40% of your calories. Eat healthy fats, including olive oil, fish oil, and avocado oil. Avoid highly processed oils and limit saturated fats. Keep proteins under 15% of calories. Eat more plant-based proteins. Eat more seafood. And reduce red meats. Again, sugar-sweetened drinks have no place in a diet for metabolic syndrome. This includes fruit juice. Now remember, if you correct your diet early, it will be much easier to maintain a healthy blood sugar.